How many cars?
50.
How many days?
3.
Gone in 60 Seconds could be a great action movie if you don't take it too seriously. The movie is made by professionals, but after watching it, it's obvious that the script has undergone a lot of changes to the story, at times seems confusing, and there are nonsensical plot lines. This movie, released in 2000 starring Nicolas Cage, and is a remake of the '74 movie of the same name.
Okay, let's run.
One of the executive producers of the movie was Denise Shakarian Halicki, widow of Henry Blight Halicki, who wrote, produced, directed, and starred in the original Gone in 60 Seconds.
From the railroad department?
No, I'm Mandrian Pace. I'm doing an investigation for the insurance company.
Pace is the protagonist, is an experienced car thief leading a gang of his own kind. Stealing cars combines it with his legitimate business, working as an insurance company agent. $400,000 is the amount of money South American partners are willing to pay for 48 cars. Almost all of the cars on the list were stolen without any problems. The protagonist's team gets a traitor and turns Pace over to the cops, and he's the one there's only one car left to recognize, a Ford Mustang Mach-1. In order to protect themselves from exposure, the hijackers invent code names for all the cars, the most famous of which was Eleanor, assigned to the '71 Ford Mustang Mach-1, which was essentially the second-generation Mustang. But thanks to a new 280 horsepower engine, the coupe got the Mach-1. But this car was brutalized to its driver during the most spectacular stunt. A 20-meter leap Halicki performed on his own in a perfectly standard car cost him dislocating 2 vertebrae and a slight A limp that stayed with the director for life. He also registered the title of Gone in 60 Seconds, and Eleanor as a trademark. The official script for the movie never existed. A couple of pages of handwritten text with a little bit of dialogue.
The script was written by hand. Henry himself provided most of the cars on the set, so to make the movie more powerful, he often used the same cars but shot in different. Some scenes were impromptu, such as the initial scene with the train that goes off the tracks. There shouldn't have been to happen, but on the eve of one of the filming days, one of the shooting days near Los Angeles, did indeed derail, and Henry decided to shoot that scene for the movie, according to people on the set. After Eleanor's unplanned collision with a pole at about 160 kilometers per hour, the first thing he asked Henry when he got out of the car was, was it filmed? For the scene where the police car rams the A-standing Cadillac at a car dealership. The tires of the first Cadillacs were spilled under the wheels of the first Cadillacs to make them look better from the impact. The stunt turned out to be remarkably successful, but the cars were so badly dented that the Henrys were forced to buy them back. On August 20th, '89, Henry began shooting a movie, Gone in 60 Seconds 2, in New York. He was preparing a stunt where an 18-wheeler knocks down a 50-foot water tower, but as it fell, the tower snagged an electrical cable that sheared off a pole that fell on Henry. The actor and director died on the spot at the time. He was 48 years old, and the movie was canceled entirely. After Henry's death, his estate was claimed by many, but it wasn't until '94. In '94, after 7 court hearings, all copyrights and his estate were transferred to his wife, Denise. But she was forced to sell almost all of her late husband's car collection to pay legal fees, and in '95, Denise signed a contract with Walt Disney and Jerry Bruckheimer to make a remake of the movie Gone in 60 Seconds. In 2008, she won a case against Carroll Shelby for the copywriting the name Eleanor, which was used by numerous of car dealerships that created copies of the '67 Shelby Mustang featured in the remake.
Shelby 67 GT500.
I know.
This Mustang was created specifically for the movie Gone in 60 Seconds based on a '67 Ford Mustang Shelby GT500, and the model itself is the result of a fruitful collaboration between legendary engineer Carroll Shelby and Ford.
My name's Carroll Shelby, and performance is my business.
Carroll Shelby, American auto racer and automobile designer, best known for builder of special versions of the Ford Mustang GT350 and GT500, the company he founded. Shelby American since '62 has been tuning and preparing special versions of road and sports cars, primarily Ford.
Cinema Vehicle Services released different Eleanors, but none of the 12 were real Mustangs, Shelby. 7 copies of the Ford Mustang were made for use in this movie, 5 of which were destroyed during the performance stunts. The remaining 2 went to Nicolas Cage and Jerry Bruckheimer. It's interesting, but Nicolas Cage took a car almost every day out to drive around the city after filming, while Bruckheimer was afraid to get behind the wheel and damage it. By the way, there's a Shelby movie, a 2019 movie, Ford vs. Ferrari, and it stars Matt Damon as Carroll. One of the most difficult scenes for the crew to shoot was the helicopter chase. The filmmakers didn't want a helicopter, like they usually do in the movies, so the stuntmen flew high, in the sky, so the stuntmen flew at a level, 6 meters, and even actually flew under a bridge, and all without a green screen. In this scene, the protagonist accelerates to almost 200 kilometers per hour, but in reality, the car was going no more than 100 to 120. Was pretty dangerous, the factories that were in this canal. The jump stunt was filmed on the Vincent Thomas Bridge that crosses the Los Angeles harbor. It was closed for all day to film the jump cars. On August 19, 2012, director Tony Scott committed suicide by jumping off from this bridge. He's the younger brother of director and producer Ridley Scott. On the set, the car jumps about 15 meters and crashes into a wall of cardboard boxes, 3 meters high and about 30 meters long. And when the car lands here, a stuntman jumps off a mini ski jump 75 centimeters, then it's all combined, but the whole jump in the movie, of course, is done with computer graphics.
Guys, it's Sway.
Hey, I'm with you.
The role of Sarah Sway, written specifically for Angelina Jolie, the actress agreed to be in this movie because she loves cars, and she was driving a Ford truck at the time. The character, Sway, is supposed to be a few years older than Kip and his friends. Jolie is actually younger than Giovanni Ribisi, William Lee Scott, and James Duvall, and she's only, like, 15 months older than Scott Conn. When Sway enters the Ferrari warehouse, she says,
Hey, girls. I love redheads.
one of the cars they steal is this, a Rose or an '87 Ferrari Testarossa. Direct translation from the Italian testa, rossa means red. Listen. That's a nice bike you got there. The motorcycle that Jolie's character rides in the movie is this, MV Agusta Serie Oro Gold Series 99. It's one of the world's only 300 motorcycles produced. It's got 750 cc's and a 4-cylinder engine that produces 125 horsepower with a top of 280 kilometers per hour. At the 2000 Stinkers Bad Movie Awards, the movie won the award for Worst Screenplay for a Movie, and Angelina Jolie was nominated for Worst On-Screen Hairstyle, but lost to John Travolta and Forrest Whitaker from Of Battlefield Earth. Nicolas Cage did most of the stunts behind the wheel himself. While preparing, he attended a driving school in Phoenix and a stunt driving school. He enjoyed racing cars that even, the actor continued to do it, after filming was over.
I really enjoyed these lessons. We learned the drive parameters not only for the sense of speed, but also for what and why you're turning. And I've been really good at driving since I was in high school, and I like to get totally immersed in racing atmosphere.
Angelina Jolie, Delroy Lindo, Giovanni Ribisi and Scott Caan also studied extreme driving, although not as extensively as Nicolas Cage. When Cage's character Memphis Reigns is talking to Otto in his workshop, a woodpecker sign appears on the window, and it's the same woodpecker that Nicolas Cage has as a tattoo in the movie Raising Arizona. In one of the early drafts of the script, had a lot of stuff from the original movie. For example, Eleanor had to disguise himself as an old man before he could steal, and the Sphinx wasn't supposed to have a nose, which explains his nickname. Nicolas Cage starred with Angelina Jolie's father, Jon Voight, in National Treasure and National Treasure, Book of Secrets, and the Gone in 60 Seconds actors' royalties amounted to $20 million. What's more interesting, Nicolas Cage's Porsche convertible was stolen 1 year after the release of this movie. A few weeks later, police found his car at the bottom of a lake. The scene where one of the chases ends takes place at the Long Beach Naval Shipyard, which closed in '95. Timothy Olyphant, who played Detective Drykoff, was the studio's first choice for the role of Dominic Toretto in the first The Fast and the Furious, but the actor turned it down at the time largely because of the similarity of the subject matter to this movie, which is why the role went to Vin Diesel.
Blah, blah, blah. It's all incredibly educational, but what about the money?
Due to high production and marketing costs, it was estimated that the studio was in the negative by $90 million, although later in its accounts Disney recorded it as a loss of $212 million.
Can you do anything?
Yeah, sure. Here Mirror Man is an electronics expert.
When Mirror Man, played by T.J. Cross, is talking to a clerk in the police yard, in the background you can see a sign that says if you leave your car unlocked, it'll disappear in 60 seconds. The same thing was used in the original '74 movie.
Remember to lock your car or it could be stolen in 60 seconds.
Giovanni Ribisi was born the same year. When the original Gone in 60 Seconds was released, Scott Caan and Giovanni Ribisi also appeared in Boiler Room 2000. Caan also appeared in Sunny 2002, the first film directed by Nicolas Cage. To prepare for his role, Delroy Lindo talked to police officers who specialize in car thefts, and to maximize the role the actor carried his gun and police equipment even when not needed in the frame. And Robert Duvall, by the way, worked with a professional auto mechanic to better prepare for his role. Christopher Eccleston was chosen for the role of Calitri after Jerry Bruckheimer saw him in Elizabeth. The actor himself described the picture as a terrible movie in which I'm terrible at acting, adding that after the release of Doctor Who, people who recognized him mostly said,
"You were in Gone in 60 Seconds, buddy, and it was total crap, and I just laughed at it because it was really true."
By the way, Christopher didn't have a driver's license at the time of filming. He decided to take his driving test until a few years after the movie came out. In the scene in which the Sphinx on the Hummer demolishes the police car, it was not originally planned that this car would fall off the slope. Vinnie Johns simply did not have enough space to back up, and he slightly moved the police car forward. That's what caused it to fall.
If his unpleasant wounding has in some way enlightened the rest of you as to the grim finish below the glossy veneer of criminal life, and inspired you to change your ways.
The character of Vinnie Jones remains silent until the last minutes of the movie. Also, his character did in the movie Midnight Express.
He spoke. Hey man, I thought you were from Long Beach.
It was the third Vinnie Jones movie after Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels and Snatch. The actor will also direct Dominic Senna in Swordfish. What is good in the movie? It is a great soundtrack and passion for cars, because whenever the characters have a difficult moment they talk about cars, even listen to the engine in the record.
Okay. The Ferrari 365 GTB4 Daytona, Le Mans, 1971.
Their love of cars makes them think that normal people who own all these cool cars just can't appreciate them, so they deserve to be stolen.
Which tells me only one thing. There's too many self-indulgent wieners in this city with too much bloody money. Now,